Well, it's Labor Day, a day for labor. I'm in the truck with Doug. We're headed down to the hangar to see if we can put these frickin' uplock cables to bed. I'm really tired of dealing with them. There were a couple of other problems that I want to discuss, and I'll get out that scale landing gear to try to explain to you exactly what's going on. Anyway, stand by and see you in a second. All right, it's just Doug and I.
Two of us.
There isn't anybody else here yet. I'm not sure if Dave or Jan are going to show up. But Jan got quite a bit of work done in the nacelle, so hang on. Okay, so a couple of things. Last week when I was pumping up the landing gear, it was to make sure that the landing gear was at full extension so that we could test the gap in here. And by the way, that was one of our problems. There was no gap between this and the latch itself. So instead of pumping it up, now we've ratchet strapped this in the completely down and fully extended position so that we could put a feeler gauge in here and get our gap. Because that was another problem we were having, is that there was friction between this, and that wasn't helping with the pull. Jan's got this piece all built up, and it's beautiful. It's ready to go. And he's got it all installed up there. But now, because of the repositioning of the arm, I've got to be able to get the sheath of the cable. I've got to pull that down. I got to find 2 inches or so of sheath in the run from the cockpit to here in order to extend that to reach to the lever. Let me show you how this landing gear is supposed to articulate, because I can't show you right now. It's sitting on them. I don't know if you remember the landing gear that one of our buddies built back in the day. This thing is gorgeous. Now, it's not quite absolutely correct, but it's a demonstrator for how the landing gear is supposed to work, and it helped us to understand what was going on in the nacelle. So that latch would be right here if this was a functioning, had a downlock function. But what happens when a command is made, there's a cam up here that when the cylinder starts moving, that's the very first thing. It rolls the cam, and that pulls the latch out of the way. And so then as the cylinder extends, you can see the motion there. This knuckles over, and I can't fully retract it. Like I say, the model is not quite all there, but the downlock also acts as the uplock, and that arm there will straighten out and the latch will re-engage in the retracted position. So it's such a cool little model. I love it. And thanks to Morris for allowing us to show this thing. Anyway, Doug's up on top of the wing trying to figure out how we can get 2 inches of sheath to move that cable forward. So stand by, we'll get going on that. Okay, so where the cable turned the corner, I don't know if you can see it back there. You can see that cable right there. We were able to gain some length there by moving the clamps. So that's given us quite a, you can't see it from where I'm at, but given us quite a bit of cable sheath out here. So we're going to be able to move this cable down the line, undo all the clamps. This is terrible video, I know. Anyway, move all the clamps and get it so that it goes that way and down into the nacelle. So give us a few minutes, we'll get that done and see if we can make that connection. All right, so we've restructured the installation of the cable. We've gained some length going that way. I'm trying to get enough on the end so we can get a hold of that bar down in there. Okay, so Jan's, we've been working the morning to rework this. We've got enough cable length there for this to reach. We still have some safetying to do, but now we're going to test and make sure that everything we've done is making this a useful thing. All right, Jan, go ahead and give her a pull. Oh, look at that. But we're not, yeah, go ahead and do it again. And now we've got clearance with the block. Do it one more time. Go ahead. Everything seems to be working. That's fantastic.
You're gonna wear the old man out.
Okay, now we got to go over and do the same thing on the other side. So we've got the right landing gear, emergency uplock cable. That's all threaded in. It's works great. And now Jan, let me turn this around, is having to create another set of extensions for the other upper gear lock, or emergency gear lock for the main gear on the left side. But one thing we've discovered, that the springs for the down lock, up lock mechanism is just, they are get out of town springs, and they, let me get in the wheel well here. They are right there, and I know it's dark, but anyway, there are two springs in there, and those are like valve springs in your 283 Chevy, and trying to get those to move with the strength that we had was nigh on impossible. So stand by just a minute. Okay, so you may have seen everybody struggle trying to pull these. Doug will demonstrate here. It takes a lot of strength to be able to.
I'm not even sure it's released yet. It's probably released about there.
Yep. So trying to do that in flight is something we don't think is possible. But Doug's come up with a really elegant solution. You want to talk about it, Doug?
Yeah, it's just a hollow tube, and we ground a slot out in a place for the bolt. And that just slides right down onto there. We'll put a small plate along here, and now you got the leverage where it's actually pretty easy now.
And probably can be done from the pilot or co-pilot seat
without having to get back here. Yeah.
Right. One of the other things that goes along with this is if you're in a situation where you have to use these in flight to release the gear so that they can fall down and hopefully lock, you're going to have to put the aircraft in a negative G in order to get the weight off of the gear. Well, what this will do is allow the pilot or co-pilot to sit here in their seat without having to unstrap, or worse, have somebody try to crawl up from the back and in a weightless condition try to operate these. So kudos, Doug. You done good, buddy.
We try.
All right. We'll get the rest of this lined out, and then hopefully tomorrow Dave will sign it all off and we can actually start Hopefully tomorrow Dave will be here, can sign all of this off, and we can actually start putting that skin on there and that skin on there. That will put us one step closer to getting these wings painted. Okay, so Jan's got a lot of this all fabricated up. He's still got to drill holes for rivets, make some spacers to go where the old capture, where this block used to be up here. It's now down here, so he's going to create some spacers to go in there. He'll get this all finished and alidined, and it'll be ready for me to install tomorrow.
And there's a new trajectory.
And there's the new trajectory. Tomorrow brings. Okay, so we'll see what tomorrow brings. All right, I just got the final sign off from Dave. All of this is ready. It's cleaned. That panel is about to be put in place. So stand by. Good morning. It's Friday, and we're down here at the hangar again. And Jan, the miracle fabricator, is over here. This is one of the uplock belt cranks for the left nacelle. And when we were operating it, this thing would shift and warp, and so Jan's recreating. He's reinforcing it is what he's doing, and then we'll be able to get that installed. Okay, so Jan's fabricating skills extraordinaire here. There were some problems with this main gear uplock mechanism. When you'd pull in the cockpit, everything would bend. The mount here, that would rotate, and the belt crank that goes in there would flex, and it was just not a good thing. So Jan has built a whole lot of reinforcement into it. That's a belt crank. And so we're running out of time today, but we're going to get this thing, next week we'll have this all installed, and we'll be able to finish out this wing. Anyway, it's a beautiful piece, and when we get it done, I'll show it to you. Our Sparkies are over there going crazy doing their electrical stuff. Communications wiring, according to John. Doug has been up. Good morning, Doug.
Good morning.
He's been up on the airplane. He's figuring out all the lengths for all the bolts that go in the covers. So that's getting going. Earlier in the week, I picked up all of our fittings for our carburetors for the platers, so we can get the flanges installed, and then we can get our hoses installed. So I've started working in here, putting our new carburetor flanges on for fuel feed. And Kenneth is working on stuff in the ceiling. He's over looking for some hardware. Anyway, I'll get these flanges bolted down and I'll get back. Okay, we have all this in, hooked up to the carburetor. hooked up to the fuel flow transmitter, hooked up to the fuel pump. What we don't have, we've got this other hose in here. That will be going to the fuel line that comes underneath this mechanics floor and exits out the front of the firewall right there. Can't really see it, but we'll wait until we're ready to put fuel in it. We got to verify if fuel will pump through everywhere by the boost pumps and make sure that the fuel flow transmitters do their job. We're not ready to put fuel in it. The fuel bladders are hermetically sealed right now. We don't. Once you put fuel in it, you have to keep it full so that the bladders don't dry out. We're not to that point yet. We're going to get the wings painted and do all of that stuff. And oh, by the way, speaking of wings painted, the business that's going to help us out with the wings is Duncan Aviation. They're on the north end of the field. They volunteered to paint the wings for us in their paint booth that will hold a 737. So I think it'll hold this, but it's really exciting for us, and hopefully sooner than later. We just got our work cut out to be ready for that. Anyway, really appreciate everybody watching my videos. I hope that you, if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe and share it out and throw a like. Throw me comments. I really enjoy the comments, and we'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.